Welcome to the Crash the Pond podcast. It is a Monday, May 16th edition of the show, and we're off to a great start, Jake. The first time we went live, no one could hear us. We had no audio.
I can't remember the last time we had that bad of technical difficulties to start.
Hoping for a different result here, hoping that we're not cursed, because we've had, Lord knows, we've had cursed episodes
I don't
before.
think we've ever had a cursed... Okay, let me rephrase that. I think the worst cursed episode we've ever had was a Patreon episode, which is much easier to fix from my end.
Yes.
As a cursed
there also
episode.
isn't the pressure of being live in front of millions.
Millions. Wow.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, is that, am I reading the numbers incorrectly? Am
I
I adding zeros and commas? Maybe.
I mean, maybe after, maybe after 4 years? However many seasons, maybe?
I think we're on year 5. Aren't we?
Is it?
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. Now's not the time.
Off to a fantastic start. By the way, so real quick, everyone out there. So Felix now no longer is just a barricade witness.
Where is this going?
He is also now a stingray sting survivor.
Yeah. Yes. Correct. I love that. I may have to add that to my Twitter bio.
Also,
Stingray Sting Survivor.
Connor 91 Pluty is saying Felix with a collar on this Monday. Are you showing Jake up?
Yeah, am I lighting you up? I mean, I don't think flannels really are.
No.
Are they showing you up? I don't think so.
No, and I've got my Tottenham hat on because things are looking bright for the Lily White.
That Tottenham hat looks like it's seen better days.
Yeah, it's not in the best shape ever. I probably should order a new one soon.
Or you could just wash it.
Can you wash hats?
Yes.
I don't know if washing
I
it
mean,
will help.
I'm not surprised that you don't know that looking by that hat. Look at how that hat looks. But
wow.
Yes, indeed, you can. Yeah, I'm a stingray survivor. Yes, they're a stingray sting survivor. Yes, and in part thanks to Jake. So should I give people the story?
It's up to you. We are now in the throes of the off season. So
okay, I just want to make this disclaimer. I promise that we actually have substantive Ducks things to talk about. We will get to them. Off-season stuff, Verbeek comments, coach firings, free agent rumors. We've got all of that. We will get into it. But this was pretty traumatizing, Jake. I went out to the water on Friday, as I usually do during my lunch break. Very low tide. The lowest tide I've ever seen in Newport. The water was so low. It went out really far and looked very nice, looked beautiful. But then, as I went in to swim, got my swim in, as I was walking out, feel something stab my foot and slice it open. Felt very painful. Thought it was a rock at first. Thought maybe I cut myself on some kind of object. But I knew in the back of my head that it was definitely a stingray. I've never been stung, but the force at which it sliced through, I just knew right away. As I'm walking out of the water, I start thinking, okay, this is bad. I got to do something. And then the pain started, which is basically like biologically when the venom starts taking effect. Tried to call you because I know you surf, and I thought maybe Jake's been stung before. Didn't pick up, which was great.
I was on a phone call with work.
So then I'm on the bank of the sand because there's like a bit of a cliff at the beach where I live at. And I'm sitting there keeled over in pain. I'm like Anakin on Mustafar. I'm just like, I'm about to incinerate. Like I'm feeling pretty bad. And I'm thinking, okay, I just need to get back to my apartment somehow. Because I did a quick Google. You got to put your foot in hot water to get the venom out. And the beach where I live at is pretty big. Like it's a hike to get out to the water.
Humble brag.
Well, I don't live on the beach. Like I'm not beachfront. So, but anyway, so I just pick up my stuff and just sprint across the sand with this open gash on my foot. Just run by people on the boardwalk, get back into my apartment, start pouring the bath, dunk my foot in the hot water. You call me. And then finally I get some feedback what to do. We figure it out. To make a long story short, the worst pain I've ever been in my entire life. It's like a mixture of cramping and burning and just a bunch of bad things you don't want to feel. Ended up going to the urgent care, to the emergency, got pain meds. I'm great now, better than ever, better than I was before. So thank you, Stingray. You can't bring me down.
Would you say the Stingray gave you superpowers? Is this like Spider-Man where you get stung by a stingray and now you have powers to become a stingray?
Maybe. Am I Stingray Man?
Maybe. Have you swam in the ocean since?
No. I actually don't know how I feel about that now. I'm gonna have to do the shuffle though.
Yeah, I mean, now you have to go and try it out because we'll find out if you have superpowers. Because, I mean, Spider-Man gives you the powers to climb up stuff, so you only find that out when you're, like, climbing up walls, like a spider. Stingray would allow you to, like, swim on...
What would be my superpower?
You would be able to
stab people?
Poison them? To swim on the bottom of the ocean without needing air and then being able to sting people. So you got to go swim to find out. You got to go find your people. Find the stingrays. Find the fellow stingrays to get there.
Well, I've been in the back of my head, I'm thinking I need to get revenge. I need to get back into the water and find that stingray. I don't know how. I don't know how it's possible.
One. I feel like you're just gonna end up getting stung again.
Yeah, it was legitimately the most painful thing I've ever experienced.
Well,
I know that I was on the I had tears coming out of my eyes. Like I wasn't sobbing, I wasn't full on crying, but I was very close. Very close. So anyway, that was my Friday. It was a great. How was your Friday? How's your life been?
I don't even remember what I did on Friday, to be honest. Every day is meshing together at this point for me.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so Jake partially saved me.
Partially, I gave you good advice.
You gave me good advice. No, credit to you.
Connor wants to know: are you going to show your foot on the podcast?
I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Will we violate Twitch rules by doing that?
I think we might. I mean, it's not that crazy to look at, honestly. It just looks like a big cut.
It looked bad on Friday when you sent it to me.
Oh, yeah. Well, because it had the swelling and the redness and...
I think it's now time to move on. We're 8 minutes in. This is a great... this is like peak us, I think. Will you show your feet for 1,000 bits?
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay. I'll show mine for like a lot of bits.
All right, we need to move on here before we lose everyone. Okay, so let's get into our first topic du jour. So I want to start here because this is something that we do, an annual rite of passage, which is the exit interview for the GM. So every year where Bob Murray gives his exit interview, we pour through the comments, we dig through what's being said, and maybe more importantly at times not said, and we just give our opinion on it. And I think that that's always interesting to just get a feel for the pulse of where management is at. Now, Pat Verbeek gave his interview, and Pat Verbeek is the master of not saying a whole lot or saying so many different things that you have no idea what he's actually trying to say. But we'll do our best here.
I think he did say more than Bob Murray did, though.
Well, he's also saying more than just, the veterans have to be better.
Correct, which is the important part. There's more that you can glean from this than normal.
Yes. So we're just going to go through, there's only about, maybe 10 comments. There's not that many. I'll try to paraphrase as best as I can. So let's just get right into it. So, first question, how much scouting he's doing. This is his response: as much as I can. It's kind of my background, and I love to do it. I have a thirst for knowledge to know players, and so I'm going to do it. And so working with all our scouts, making sure I have knowledge of the players that we're going to be discussing, and in the summertime, trying to sign them is important. Here's my takeaway from that, first and foremost. Pat Verbeek actually does stuff, right? With Bob Murray. Did we ever really know what he actually did?
Yeah, he went and scouted the U18s last year. I know that he said he was doing that because he was vaccinated. I think he said that in like a comment that he was able to go to the Dallas U18s.
That's true.
Which is probably a big reason why he fell in love with Mason McTavish. But yeah, and I think we've heard him being in Europe for various different things. But yes, nice to see Verbeek kind of getting on the scouting trail.
Yeah, absolutely. That's. I feel like that's what GMs are doing this time of year. Okay. Now, this is Verbeek on the Ducks season as a whole, how it went. This is his response. Well, it was going decent. They were in a playoff spot in February, and then obviously things took a turn in the sense that the team lost 4 pretty good players out of the lineup, and so that was a big chunk, and I think that was probably the hardest part going through that process of trading those players away. But I felt, like I told you guys before, we couldn't let guys just walk away. And this was a chance to really set up the franchise to be put in good position down the road to build a lot of depth through the entire organization, whether it's in the minors and up top with the Anaheim Ducks. And so when I felt that I couldn't get the guys signed, that's when I made the decision to do that. And now we have a lot of draft picks over the next 3 years. And now it's going to be the responsibility of us to draft well and to set up this franchise to be good down the road, to really start to look at being a winning team, a contending team, and eventually, hopefully, a championship team. Jake, I feel like that comment is music to your ears.
This is exactly what I wanted to hear. I mean, this is someone where this is what we've said. You and I both agreed. I don't even know if I would necessarily care to discuss contracts with their UFAs. Just go ahead and move them. But I think that's the right approach, is that you don't find yourself getting desperate and giving them deals that you don't like just to give them deals. And once you make that decision, then you have to be shrewd with it and move on and get what you need back. And I think this is exactly what they needed to do, and this was really smart. And it's just nice to hear a GM with a plan. I think that's the biggest takeaway from that quote and that paragraph right there, is that with Bob Murray for so long, it felt like they were a rudderless ship, right? It was, we need to get better in these areas, but there was never really a plan to get better long term. The veterans needed to be better. These guys just essentially hoping and praying that guys would just suddenly be better players because they're in elevated roles. Whereas with Pat Verbeek, it's no, here's my plan. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to hopefully become a winning team, a contending team, and a championship team. It may not be the prettiest, sexiest way of doing it, but this is our plan of attack. And I think as long as you lay out a plan, fans can become invested in that.
Yeah, and I kind of like how that's where he's setting the bar. That's what he's setting his sights on.
Yeah.
Right? That we aspire to be a championship team.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he didn't say that exactly, but that is the gist of what he's saying. And I think that my one, I don't want to call it a nitpick from this comment, is that when he said that he had the impression that he couldn't get the guys signed. I think that what people need to understand there is that he didn't feel like he could get them signed to the deals that he wanted to sign them to.
Correct.
Because if Pat Verbeek had offered 8 years to Hampus Lindholm, to Ricard Raquel, to Josh Manson, to Nick Deslauriers, those guys are still Ducks, right?
Yeah.
I think that all of those guys are still Ducks if he just gives them what they want.
Yeah.
And so this is a two-way street, and he couldn't get them on deals that he thought made sense for this organization. And I think that they all wanted those deals, right? Like, I think that that's what you shoot for as a UFA, as a first-time UFA, is you want to get that big deal. Don't hold it against the players whatsoever.
Yep, and we said that many times, is that the players are doing what is in their best interest, and Pat Verbeek is doing what's in the best interest of the Ducks. Yeah, exactly. So let's just keep moving on here. Okay, the topic here on whether trading away those players was influenced by team performance. No, it was unavoidable. At the end of the day, the players have the right to make the decisions they want to make, and so whether the team was in the playoffs or not, like I said before, I got the sense that I wasn't going to have a chance to re-sign them, and so that's kind of when I decided to go a different way. Pretty much,
I mean, that's just
exactly what we just said. Exactly what we just said. And I think that's the right quote, right? Of, it didn't matter whether we were winning or losing. This comes down to the reality of the situation of where these players were at. And it wasn't something where I was going to put myself in a bad position because we were winning.
Exactly. And I think that is a key takeaway. Yeah. Is that this wasn't a reactionary move.
Yeah.
This was a big picture move.
And on the flip side of what I kind of just said, with this wasn't because giving them a contract because we needed them to win now. Also on the flip side, this wasn't a reactionary move to the team just being on a losing streak either.
Yeah.
This was understanding where the team's at and what needed to get done.
Absolutely. On changes to the Gulls coaching staff, which I guess we should just put out there if people didn't see. We'll get more into our reactions on that later. But Joel Bouchard, Maxime Talbot, and Daniel Jacob, all three, the entire Gulls coaching staff was fired. And it was Pat Verbeek's call. This wasn't a matter of them moving on or what have you. They were fired.
And it wasn't a situation, I guess, like kind of as I was thinking, where Rob DeMeo comes in and becomes the GM of the Gulls, and he just doesn't see eye to eye with those guys from the past, and it's his call. No. This was a Verbeek decision by the sounds of it.
Fired.
Yeah.
Fired. Yeah. So on those changes, I just thought that everyone needed to do a reset. Everyone needed a fresh slate, and that was the reason. And it wasn't really any deeper than that, just certain things that happened over the course of the year. I really don't want to get into that sort of stuff, but I just felt that everyone needed a clean slate. Joel needed a clean slate, and his staff needed a clean slate. I mean, that's kind of saying a whole lot of nothing.
It is and it isn't. Like,
I mean, it sounds like something happened, right?
Yeah, like not wanting to get into that sort of stuff means that something happened.
It sounds, and I mean, we've kind of seen this, and we'll get more into it later, but maybe not the most harmonious backdrop in the Gulls organization this year.
Correct. So found that somewhat telling. Not a whole lot said, but I think that you can glean some information.
Yep. Moving on here, on off-season player moves via trade or free agency. There are lots of possibilities. Whether we're going to be able to execute them, that's another factor. I mean, you could talk about the free agent market. There's going to be lots of people competing for the same players that we are. So at the end of the day, the players are going to decide. We're going to sell and make our pitch. But at the end of the day, the free agent market players are going to decide. Will there be other opportunities as far as trades? Absolutely. There will be opportunities, but I can't tell you what they are. There's going to be things that are there. There were teams that came forward that I had no idea would come forward at the trade deadline, and that's going to be the same thing that's going to happen just prior to the draft.
This was the most saying nothing.
It is and it isn't. I think that the trade opportunity, the kind of that really emphatic response of absolutely, and the fact that he mentioned how there's going to be teams that pop up that he didn't expect. I agree with you that he didn't really say anything in terms of what they're going to do, but it sounds like he's not, like, it doesn't sound like he's going to stand pat.
No, but this was a quintessential crash the pond, two sides of every coin, yes and no response.
Yeah.
Like that. Sure, we're going to make our pitch for our free agents, but they're going to decide. So maybe we'll get some, maybe we won't. And absolutely, there are going to be trades, but we would have to come to a deal with them. And so we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, that's fair. But I guess just my takeaway is just it sounds like they're going to try to do something.
Agreed. It was just funny because you saying it's like, yeah, this was the most yes and no.
This is a yes and no answer completely.
Yeah.
Okay. On hiring a new assistant coach, so this broke during the last week, but Jeff Ward stepping down for personal reasons. And then this is his response. Dallas and I have kicked around that one a little. Right now, we're going to take a little time to decide exactly what our needs are and what we want. We haven't made a final decision on the parameters of the kind of guy that we're looking to get. So it's kind of a really wide open from that aspect. I mean, this is another yes and no.
Yeah.
Like I mean, nothing said here.
This seems like it was something that just happened also.
Yeah. Do you think, though, that they are going to bring in another assistant coach?
I think it's possible.
They had 3. I guess most teams seem to be going to 3.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Dallas had 2 on his bench for the prior years, so last year with 3 was a different setup.
Yeah, you could just have Newell Brown and Mike Stothers.
Yeah.
In theory. So, on free agency, my overall approach to free agency is to improve the team. I mean, I guess that makes sense, like, as opposed to making the team worse. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, so obviously we have some spots and defense that are open. We're gonna have some spots that are open on the forward side. So we're gonna look to fill those slots as best we can. Yes, there are slots on the team that we will look to fill.
Yep.
Is basically outside of goaltending.
Yeah.
So it does sound though like he is gonna. I don't know. You can't take anything.
No, but I think he's gonna at least be active in terms of seeing what's out there.
I think he's gonna try to give them some quality depth.
Correct.
Like I don't think he wants them to just have the depth they've had in recent years.
Yes, agreed.
Which is no depth. Okay. On the approach to the draft, for me, what's really important is hockey sense and compete. Those are 2 vital things that I'm going to be looking for in players. You have to have those elements to be able to win. Every general manager has their own vision. When it comes to drafting players, I have my vision. I'm going to communicate that to all of our amateur scouts, and we're going to make the list based on that. So, compete and hockey sense. It's not what we've heard in the past necessarily.
No.
But it's also kind of like, sure.
Yeah.
Of course, those things are really important.
Like, hockey sense is just a good hockey IQ, being good on the ice. And compete's an interesting word because it can kind of mean a bunch of different things, right?
Right.
I think the general connotation is compete is meant for the grinders, but you can also apply that with skilled players also, right? And having the skill to be able to compete at that high level. And so I know there's been a lot made, I think, with Verbeek saying that he wants the team to be bigger. But I think that
he's stressed that, and we're about to get into it actually.
But I think that was specific, though. He had talked about that with the blue line, and I feel like that's kind of been run into the ground a bit by in terms of the draft. And I don't think that he's necessarily someone that's going to prioritize size in the draft, and I don't think it's necessarily something, because he's also mentioned later on in this about speed. And so I think he just thinks the team needs to be upgraded overall, and I don't think what he said here necessarily lends itself to him wanting to draft for size.
The Ducks have been a perennially bottom of the league, bottom of the standings team for like 4 years in a row now. So yes, they need these things. I think when I think of compete, I think of activity. I think of guys who, when they're out there, are doing a lot of things. Like, they are impacting the game in every zone, filling lanes, active sticks, touching the puck a lot, right? That's kind of what I think when I think of compete. Anyway, okay. On Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras, and Jamie Drysdale, I would consider them core pieces. I thought they had nice seasons, but as I told all three of them, there's so much more upside into where their games can go, and I gave them specific areas that I'm looking for them to improve in. And I think that if they look at those specific areas and really attend to them, I think things will improve drastically for the Anaheim Ducks with those three players. So those guys are part of the core.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to think about Troy Terry as part of the core on a list with guys who were top 10 selections.
Yes.
Right? Because Troy Terry was a fifth-round pick. Mm-hmm. He is not a guy of that ilk, but he has turned himself into one. So here's my question for you. We can go just through them. What do you think he asked, for example, Troy Terry to improve in? What was a specific area Troy Terry needs to improve in?
That's a tough one because I don't necessarily have something off the top of my head for Troy Terry.
I feel like he's good at everything.
Yeah, like I feel like he's just a really well-rounded player.
I think he can still benefit from becoming a more dynamic skater. I think that he's quick. He's quick. He's agile. In the offensive zone, he's so good at pivoting and shielding the puck. But he's a guy who, of course, one of the big things that he credited his success this season was getting stronger. And I think that even looking at him, you can see he can still put on more muscle. He can still get stronger. You can always get stronger. And I think that his skating can continue to improve as well. I think I wouldn't call him a great skater, but he is a plus skater, and I think he can continue to expand on that. Trevor Zegras. I think Trevor Zegras, the message is pretty predictable.
I think the message to Trevor Zegras is probably going to be working on defensive zone structure and systems, because I think there are times where, even though we've said he's not as bad as people make him out to be, because he's not defensively, but I think there are times he gets lost in the defensive zone in terms of his coverage and can leave guys open on the back post. So I think in terms of that, that's probably where he could benefit, is some system defensive system.
And also I think size. I think
that's fair.
He's got to get stronger.
Yeah,
and it's not because
I was trying to give it a little bit of a different answer, but yes, correct.
No, that's a good one. I think that film study is going to help him a lot, but I think, and the guys do that. He's going to review his shifts. He's going to get deep into it, and I think that's something he's going to benefit from. He does. I don't want to say need to get stronger, because he was a good player this season without that being maybe a huge element of his game. But if he can add it, you can really see how it can let the rest of his game flourish, because I don't have a stat for this, but he didn't seem like a guy who was necessarily elite at shielding off the puck in the offensive zone and really being able to impose his will off the cycle. Was so good off the rush. But to be a great cycle player, strength is an element of that. And I think if he can just continue to add to that, it's just going to make him more dangerous in another area of the game. So, I just don't like when that's painted as, he's just not strong. Yep. Because these guys are all strong. They're professional athletes.
Yep.
So, Jamie Drysdale.
It's probably going to be, honestly, strength.
Strength as well.
Strength as well. If I want to go a little bit more minute, I think work on board battles.
Yeah. Yeah, board battles. And I think for him, for Jamie Drysdale, it's funny because I think that skating is not something you would think he would need to work on. He's an excellent skater. I think for Jamie Drysdale, it's a matter of really working on situational skills. So, I think that his agility, when he times, when he starts backing up, when he starts doing crossovers. Like, those are all things that I think he can really nail down even more and really make sure that he's defending that blue line even better. And also just his abilities in the offensive zone, because he's really good at bringing it into the offensive zone. He's really good at transitioning. But now that next phase is kind of like, now that you're in there, what are you going to do? And growing those small area skills, working on those hands to really make sure he can be a playmaker everywhere in the offensive zone, not just at the blue line.
Yep.
Anyway, on college prospects, Henry Thrun and Jackson Lacombe staying in school. Verbeek's response: the last I communicated with them, they were committed to signing with the Ducks, but they felt that they needed another year of school to kind of round out their games, to make themselves better prepared for the pro game. I've been watching them for years now, and I'm very confident in their ability to be able to play in the NHL one day. Do you feel reassured by this response?
Yes. I think that helps. I think that significantly helps. I mean, what else was he really going to say here, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if this necessarily is a situation where him saying this means that they're for sure going to sign after the season.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely more reassuring than otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of one of those, okay, well, he said what he had to say, but I think there's still some... I'm not taking this as, oh, yeah, they're guaranteed to play for the Ducks one day.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and rounding this out here, on the team needing to get faster and stronger. I know we're not as fast as the rest of the NHL. That's just my viewpoint, and so we have to make improvements there. There are certain elements when it comes to competing we have to have, but the strength isn't there. It's not good enough, no. So listening to him say this as well, on top of reading it, he was pretty direct in that this team is not fast enough and not strong enough. And I find that interesting. I also think that in a way, it's one of those things where that's something you can easily work on, right?
Why do you find that interesting? I'm curious about that.
I think it's interesting because if a player is listening to this, it's really easy to go work on that. It gives them something actionable, something that they can actually easily work on, right? Getting faster and stronger. That being said, I think that, yes, I think Troy Terry is not the fastest. Trevor Zegras isn't the fastest. Jamie Drysdale is not the strongest, right? Like these guys have their warts, but I also don't think that this roster is so hodgepodge, especially to end the season, that I don't know if that's really my takeaway, is that that's what they're lacking. They're lacking talent is what they're really lacking.
Yeah.
But I think, look, that's a good thing to put out there for your players, right?
Yep, definitely.
Get your bodies stronger, get your athleticism up.
Definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, takeaways from just this overall, Verbeek's tone, Verbeek's comments.
I think it goes back to what I said in the first place. I think there's an actual plan in place, which is very, very reassuring. I think that's kind of my biggest takeaway out of all of this.
My takeaway is just competency. It just feels like the Ducks have just a normal NHL GM at the helm.
Yep, exactly.
That's it. That's all. So, other bit of news here, as we talked about, the San Diego Gulls will have a new coaching staff next season, and Pat Verbeek was the one to fire them. I got to say, knowing what we know about Joel Bouchard in particular, I tweeted it. Hopefully people got a chance to see, but the Dale Weiss podcast last season was pretty revealing, pretty scathing in that Joel Bouchard has just legit issues communicating with players, and very disheartening.
He's just an old school style of coach, it seems like, who
sounds a lot like Bob Murray.
Yep, exactly. And it kind of makes sense why he was hired by him, and that's not the type of guy that you want in charge of development of your young players that are coming into the league. And maybe it's not that surprising that Braden Tracy and Jacob Pro didn't have the best seasons ever after having a little bit of a hot start, because they didn't have someone there to necessarily support him. It's not shocking in hindsight how the Gulls played that playoff game against the Reign, and the fact that Olin Zellweger barely played, and everything that came along with that. Now it kind of all makes sense. And so you got to think Verbeek watched those games and first off was not happy with how things were done, and also probably just wasn't happy with everything from the season. So overall, I'm happy with the change, and we'll have to see how it goes from there.
Yeah, and I think also just watching the Gulls in the playoffs and hearing what Dalby's had to say, the Gulls just didn't look like a team that really had any structure.
Yeah.
Dalby's talked about how Joel Bouchard would have the guys do bag skates on the day of a game. Because his whole thing was, we need to be the fittest team in the league. We need to compete. And so for those who don't know, a bag skate is when you have a practice and the puck, I don't know if this is actually the origin of the term, but like the puck, there's no pucks on the ice. You're just going to skate. You're going to do liners. You're going to skate blue line back to the goal line, red line back to goal line, and it's miserable for the players.
Yeah.
And doing that on the day of a game is unheard of. Because game day morning skate is just kind of get the legs loose, get the blood flowing, and get back to the hotel. Very brief. So it's a completely backwards mentality. We don't know what actually happened in San Diego, but if Bouchard was anywhere close to what Weiss was describing in that interview, then good riddance. Good riddance from the Anaheim organization, because that clearly doesn't work, right? The Gulls got trucked by the rain, and players didn't really develop that well in San Diego this year. So addition by subtraction for the Ducks by moving on from these guys.
Yep. And speaking of good riddance and moving on, maybe it's time for all of us to kind of move on from some of our wardrobe and pick up something from Mack Weldon. So it's heating up outside, and when it comes to stylish essentials perfect for the hotter days ahead, there's no better option than Mack Weldon. From hanging at home to that much-needed vacation, the conference room to the happy hour, they've got you covered. The innovative daily wear system takes the guesswork out of getting dressed, even for the most indecisive guys. So, Felix, I know you actually have a pair of their board shorts.
Yeah.
How are they?
Big fan. I think what I love about those board shorts the most is that, so board shorts referring to swim trunks, right?
Oh, you have the swim trunks. They have board shorts and swim trunks.
Okay.
So whether you're someone that wants the swim trunks a little bit shorter.
I do have the board shorts.
Okay.
So what I love about them is that they're very versatile. So you can wear them going out and they look presentable, they look good, they look clean, but because of the material, you can also wear them working out, being active. You can really wear them for any occasion. I love that.
Yep. And also perfect for summer occasions are their premium polos, which easily elevate your plans with fabric technology they've built in to keep you comfortable as the temperature rises. Their lightweight Silver Peak polo and new super soft Pima t-shirt polo are great for the summer, and I'll be wearing them everywhere with the Maverick Tech Chino short and Radius Flex short. And like you said, the two other must-haves for the season, and by the season, I mean beach season, pool season, whatever body of water you prefer. You can check out their board shorts and swim trunks, a combo of performance stretch and a slick design. They're great gear for when you're taking time off. So you can check out Mack Weldon for yourself and save 20% off on your first order. Visit mackweldon.com/crash and enter promo code CRASH. Again, that's mackweldon.com/crash and enter promo code CRASH for 20% off. Stock up on the warm weather essentials you've been missing.
Yeah, 20% is no joke.
Mm-hmm.
So go check that out. Okay, let's move on here. The next topic. I'm done talking about Joel Bouchard. That's the last time we ever have to talk about him on this podcast. Look at that. Look at us. Who would have thought? Okay, the next topic. And this is the one that I feel like I was the first on this, even though it was just me kind of picking a name out of a hat for the most part, answering a listener question.
Oh?
But
are you taking this from me?
I said it first.
No, you did not.
I 100% did.
I did, and then you jumped on my back on it.
It doesn't matter.
Stop taking credit.
I have been more vocal than you have about it. It doesn't matter. To me, Kevin Fiala to Anaheim feels more possible than it ever has.
Yeah.
So the reason for that, the Minnesota Wild bounced in the first round, and now they are staring down a very difficult offseason from a salary cap perspective, and being able to ice a team next season. I mean, as of right now, Zach Parise and Ryan Suter's buyouts are going to go from costing them about $4 million against the cap to over $12 million. And Kevin Fiala is an RFA. They have 3-4 UFAs. They're going to have to they're going to have to work things around to make this function for next season. And we heard on the 32 Thoughts podcast, Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick discussing the fact that it doesn't seem that Kevin Fiala is going to be back with the Wild next season. Like, this is something that's being said now. And so the whole thing is that for Fiala to leave Minnesota, for Minnesota to want to part ways with him, clearly they don't want something that's going to make this cap picture any worse than it already is. And that's something that they talked about on the podcast as well. So picks and prospects in a deal to go and get the rights to sign Kevin Fiala, his RFA rights, is really what would make it work. And the Ducks, Jake, have a plethora of picks and prospects.
Yeah.
Is this something that you would do? Is this something that you would try to accomplish if you're Pat Verbeek?
Yes, 100%.
There's pros and cons, to be sure.
Yes, and I mean, we've talked about it a bunch, right? Of look at age, look at things like that. And so some people ask, why were you not comfortable giving Lindholm, who is 26 years old, a contract, but you are comfortable giving Kevin Fiala, who's going to be 26
are we
this
hypocrites?
summer? And I think the difference is that I think that we both said that, or one, not both. I had said if Hampus Lindholm came in at 3 to 4 years, I would be fine with it. I think that moving him was still the better decision because it resulted in you getting things that would help you in the future and be more towards your aging curve and aging window. But that was more so about selling him as a rental. I think that if you trade for Kevin Fiala and can get him on a 5-year deal, that would take him until he's 31 years old, basically. I think that is an okay enough deal for you. I would not go 8 years on Kevin Fiala, but I would do it. I would try to get him under 5 years or at 5 years.
And by the way, just to kind of further the distinction between like a Hampus Lindholm is 28. He's going to be 29.
Sorry, that's right. Yes, sorry, that's right.
Yeah. Kevin Fiala right now is 25.
Yes.
He's going to be 26 this summer.
Yes.
But he is like entering that prime. He's got a few good years of his actual prime left.
And the other thing is that if you look at Kevin Fiala's RAPM charts, I think this is a big thing also to
He's
factor
gotten
in.
better.
He's gotten better, and he is excellent. We're not talking about a guy like, for instance, a Ricard Raquel that has had great years in the past, but it's in some ways been shooting a little bit driven, but should have a little bit of shooting regression coming his way. Or a Hampus Lindholm who's kind of declined over the last couple of years. And this is a guy in Kevin Fiala that it has been absolutely excellent from all kind of advanced numbers. And he's a guy that if you can get locked up on a 5-year deal, it would pay dividends.
Yeah. So that to me is the whole crux of this, is that Kevin Fiala, yes, to get him, first off, I don't know what it's going to take. That hasn't really been discussed all that much publicly, but I would imagine that the Ducks are going to have to give up a first-round pick. They're going to have to give up one of their better prospects.
So, right? I mean, where do you think? Let's just start at least with an offer
Here's my
sheet.
whole thing. Here's my whole thing, though. I don't think that if you're I think this is going to happen via trade. I think Kevin Fiala leaves Minnesota via trade. Because if you're the Wild, doesn't it make more sense to do it that way?
You have the ability to get assets that help you sooner as compared to picks, so it does.
And I think, and the way their roster is constructed, I would argue that they are probably more intrigued by a trade package than the compensation from an
No,
offer.
I know, but at least with an offer sheet, you at least have an idea of the value associated with it.
Right. Well, also the hard thing about kind of, conceptualizing what the return would be or what the package would be for Fiala is that everyone knows that the Wild are in the situation.
Yeah. Well,
they don't have a ton of leverage here.
Let's just say this. What is the AAV you think that you would give Fiala?
Well, so I don't know why, but I can't log into Evolving Wild here.
Oh, I have
Evolving Hockey.
I've got it open. You have to log out and log back in.
Oh, because you messed with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I guess that's the question, right? Is do you give him the big 8-year deal?
No.
Or do you go bridge? Would he want to go bridge?
I don't think that you do bridge. A 5-year deal is not a bridge.
No, I know, but would he want a bridge? I'm not seeing a 5-year deal as a Bridge.
Let's see. I think he's 1 year away from UFA, so a Bridge would be 1 year.
Yeah.
No, you don't give him a 1 year deal if you end up trading for him. I think what you end up doing is that you do.
Do you think he takes a 5-year deal?
I think if you make the AAV high enough, yeah.
How high would it have to be? Because I believe his 8-year projection is at
9.4.
9. Yeah. So do you go 10?
I would do 10.
Yeah.
Well, you can actually look, and if it was, it's funny actually. So Evolving Wild has this listed, but if you do a year 5, a 5-year deal, it's expected to be 7.78. 8 year, it's when you go to 8 when it bumps up to 9.4 is the expected contract value.
So these are the contract projections on Evolving Hockey.
Correct. So, I mean, I would do up to 10 for him.
Yeah, I think that what we are not or people maybe don't realize is that Kevin Fiala is elite offensively. Like he is an elite offensive play driver.
Here, let me just do this so everyone can see who's watching the YouTube.
And also, so when you dig into the tracking data from Corey Schneider, I think it gets more intriguing because you kind of see what the methodology is. And not only is he an elite shooter in terms of just shot with the puck on his own stick.
Our audio muted slightly, so sorry, people out there. The audio feed for the podcast we find. The video, sorry about that, folks. That's what happens when I showed the screen. So go back to what you were saying maybe a minute or two ago.
Okay. Well, I don't know where I cut off, but what I will say is that looking at the tracking data, basically Fiala looks like a triple threat where he's an elite shooter, he's an elite playmaker, and in terms of passing, and he's elite at entering the zone, both with the puck on his stick and entering it with a pass. So he just kind of does everything. And to me, this is something that I've talked about for years now with the Ducks, is that they need elite offensive talent. They need guys who can move the needle, who can do it on their own. They just don't have enough of those guys. Well, and even right now, like Terry is close to that, but he's not on Fiala's level. Zegras may get there. Fiala is that right now, and to me, he complements all of those guys in a perfect way.
And I mean, maybe you don't want to give Fiala 10 mil because he's a winger, and maybe that's the reason why. But maybe you go 8 or 9 on him.
But from the wing position, though, he is driving.
No,
play.
Agreed. And I think if you had a line of Fiala, Terry, Zegras,
I mean,
that could be one of the best lines in the league.
Yes,
and that's not being hyperbolic.
Not at all. And so the thing with Fiala as well that I thought about is that if part of your hesitancy for going longer term is that he's got, his play is gonna decline, that's fair. But I do think that as he declines, Trevor Zegras is gonna get better. Yeah. And so that can help mitigate some of the decline as well.
That's why I would do 5. I think 5 is pushing it because that makes his last year, he's 31.
Yeah. I just think that the way he plays the game, I know that he is going to age. I know he's going to decline, but he can really fit into Anaheim and maybe elongate his prime a bit.
But would you want his 32, 33, 34 year age?
I mean, that's just the way it always is.
Yeah, age years at 8, 9, 10 mil. No. And so that's why I would do 5 years. And so if I did it, I would go up to 10 probably for 5 years. I would maybe prefer to go lower on that AAV.
Yeah, I think you could probably still get him in the 9 range.
Yeah,
because
probably.
I'm not convinced that. I feel like the Evolving Hockey contract projections are really good, but I'm not sure if the perception of Kevin Fiala matches that. Like, can you imagine what the reaction would be if he got 10 million AAV?
That's a good point. I think that this is based upon analytics, and I think from a public perception perspective, you're right.
Because reputation, because people look at points, right? Like, that's how people decide everything. Kevin Fiala's career high in goals for a season is 33, right?
Yeah.
Giving a guy like that $10 million a year, $9 million a year, probably seems crazy to people. But as we say over and over and over on this podcast, points and assists or goals and assists are not everything. Goals and assists are the end result of a process. And Kevin Fiala's process is elite, and his production where he's at right now with these 85 points, maybe he won't stay exactly at that, but he's hitting a new level that I think he can maintain playing with Trevor Zegras, playing with Troy Terry, playing with Mason McTavish. Like, who knows, right? The Ducks are very well positioned to maximize this player in a way that other teams might not be able to.
Yep.
So I am bullish on this, Jake. If this happens, I am bullish on the Ducks next season.
Yep, completely.
I guess my question though would be, if you're trying to get this deal done, I don't think it would cost you. I don't think you would have to include a Mason McTavish.
No,
because the lack of leverage on the Minnesota end.
I think you could do like a first and pro.
Yeah, or maybe Lucas Dostal.
Maybe, or John Gibson.
Well. You brought that up. Do you want to get into that at all?
Let's do it.
So, I mean, really, there was a comment from Verbeek this week, which was just non-committal about John Gibson's future in Anaheim.
Yep.
Which, should we take anything away from that?
I mean, the comment was he was asked if he's spoken to Gibson at all about his future in Anaheim, and Verbeek basically said, no, I haven't spoke to him or his agent since the season has ended. And that's kind of the end of it. And so I think the majority of it is kind of making some assumptions there of every quote from John Gibson, the fact that his name was in the rumor mill, the fact of how he played down the stretch, and the fact that,
does he want to be in a place where he's not convinced he can win?
Well, and I think Pat Verbeek also, I think it's telling when a GM hasn't spoken to his star goalie. Yeah. Basically, is Gibson the highest paid player on the team right now?
Is it him or Fowler? It's one of the two.
Yeah, I think it's him. Is the highest paid player. That basically the seas's ended. And
he's not. It's not. Fowler.
It is
by 100K.
Okay, so
Fowler.
Barely one of the highest paid player on his team.
Yeah,
and he hasn't spoken to him yet. So
I don't want to read into that too much.
No.
I just think what's more telling is just the fact that kind of the no comment almost tone to it.
Yeah.
Right? Because John Gibson, like you said, is one of the highest paid players. He's locked up for the future. And shouldn't your response be that he's a Duck and that's where he's right? Like shouldn't that isn't that what you would expect? Instead, it does feel like an open question about his future with this team.
Yep. And so, I mean, the first deal, you put this out there, and it was due to
the entire state of New Jersey got in my mentions over this.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm gonna blame you here because you texted me or you texted in our group chat that Gibson go to New Jersey in a package for the second overall.
I'm gonna blame Spencer from our Discord because he was the first person I saw put this, and then I took it to our text messages.
Yeah. Well, so basically, I said on Twitter that could New Jersey be a destination for John Gibson with the second overall pick coming back? Now, people took that to mean, and maybe not completely irrationally, that I meant Gibson for the second straight up. If you read what I said...
I mean, that's what I meant, but sure.
I don't think that's possible. I don't think John Gibson gets you the second overall pick. You think, though? You think he's worth that right now?
I think from a public trade value perspective, yeah.
But let's talk about the public trade value, though.
Mm-hmm.
You read the anonymous GM comments, right? Are we sure that the NHL views him glowingly?
Well, what really matters, first off, is what Tom Fitzgerald thinks about him, not what an anonymous NHL executive thinks about him.
But that's just, I understand. But the point is just, your comment was not about Tom Fitzgerald. It was about how the league views him. And I'm not convinced that he's viewed as an elite goalie who's worth the second overall pick.
So here's where I'm coming from on this, is that the Ducks have been a tire fire from a public perspective defensively, and that in some ways can shield John Gibson from the criticism. Look at all the public narratives around him, right?
I'm not convinced he's viewed as an elite goalie.
Okay. I think he is. I think he is by a lot of people. And I think that there are going to be a lot of teams out there that would say this is someone that's played in a bad situation in Anaheim and we would pay a very hefty price to get him out of there to have him come to our team in a better environment. And I think the Devils don't want to start winning ASAP. They gave Dougie Hamilton all of that money. And quite frankly, the second overall pick is not going to help them for another couple of years.
That's fair.
In terms of being able to help them in the now, while Dougie Hamilton's in his prime. Whereas John Gibson, even for how he has those downturns, that is something that helps them way more in the now, and especially with the Devils who are looking specifically to add goaltending. So you look at it, there really hasn't been a big precedent for trading star goalies that are locked up long term.
Let me ask you this, though, Jake. I mean, Tom Fitzgerald must look at stats, any stats.
No,
right?
yeah.
And look at what GMs look at the last 3 years. This year, and I'm not saying that these are the stats I use. We've made this very clear. 904 save percentage, 3.19 GAA. Last year, 903, 2.98. Year before, 904, 3. Year before, 917. Like, that was his last good year.
This all goes to kind of my point, though, right? Of look at how the Ducks have been, and the argument, and all of those under Dallas Eakins, and you could see a GM talking themselves into that. And
we also know that the Devils, have a good,
pretty
steady analytics department.
I was about to go there, and here's
analytics don't paint a better picture. They paint the same picture.
Here's the question, though, and this is the big question on all of this. There is a big discrepancy with some goaltending metrics between private and public, to the point where we've had people tell us don't always trust GSAX from the public model perspective because it doesn't do a good enough job when you're evaluating goalies.
I get that.
And so it's definitely something where it's kind of an out there thing, but we don't necessarily know what the analytics that they have are going to be saying about John Gibson. And I think that's something to make a stance one way or the other you can't necessarily do. And so I basically my whole point in all of this is, sure, maybe it's not a possible trade, but I think it's also not a completely outlandish idea that you have a goaltender in his prime locked up for multiple seasons that is someone that in the past has been considered one of the best goalies in the league, that a team would not pay a hefty price for him order to get him.
I don't think that's crazy. I just think that if you're the Devils and you give up your second overall pick, which you lucked into, right, with the lottery.
Found money for them then. Easier to move.
For a guy who has not been good, who has been bad for 3 years, like, how do you sell that? How do you sell it to your owner?
It's
how do you
easy.
sell it to your fans?
It's easy.
He's been terrible.
It's easy.
Like, wouldn't you want some kind?
It's easy.
Wouldn't you want some kind of certainty coming back?
It's easy. The sell is that he's one of the best goalies in the league playing on a team that has had one of the worst defensive systems in the league.
He's one of the best goalies by what metric?
No. You're missing my point here. I'm not necessarily saying I agree with this at all. Okay. I'm just saying that there's a narrative that you can make for it.
Sure. But like that narrative, though, any random fan can poke holes in it. Just go to NHL.com like I just did and look at his stats.
Sure.
And you ask yourself, wait a second.
Like I said, I think that there is a way that this deal could happen because of the public trade value perception that John Gibson, I think, has. And I completely acknowledge that is that's not something you can necessarily point to a stat and say, and that's not necessarily something that you can.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, it's a little bit too pie in the sky, but you know what? I'm going to go for it.
I agree with you. He still has value.
Well,
I agree with
let me ask you this:
can get you stuff.
I don't think,
maybe I'm overvaluing the second overall pick.
And I think that I don't think I would do 10th overall plus Gibson for second overall.
You're losing that trade.
You are losing because I don't think
in terms of what you can get.
Yeah, because John Gibson has more value than just trading up 8 spots. Yeah, and so that's why I would not do that for the life of me. If you have to include maybe one of your bajillion second-round picks that you have, sure, fine, whatever. Do that to make the Devils happy.
Well, because to me for the Ducks, John, I don't want to say he's a negative value asset, but getting out of his contract and out of his goal,
I'd retain salary also on him. To be honest, like do whatever.
But even then, you're still getting out of his full salary. Like you're still winning.
Yeah.
Do you think John Gibson is a goalie for the Anaheim Ducks next season?
60-40 no.
You can't give a percentage. You just got to say yes or no.
No.
That's such a cop-out.
No.
I'm going to go with no as well. It feels weird that we've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
It just feels like all signs are pointing in that direction.
Yep. So, topics-wise, I think that's all I've got for us today.
All right.
Unless I'm missing anything that's happened.
I'm going to start jumping into some questions here then.
Okay.
We're going to start with our Discord. So go to our Patreon, patreon.com/crashspawn. Support us there. You get access to our Discord, one of the best places to talk hockey. So we got this from Skippy with Peanut Butter. Said, with the kind of generational talent in next year's draft, do you guys think the Ducks should part with their first in an offer sheet, or should they bank on being in the lottery again? It's a good question. Basically, if you give an offer sheet this summer, if Pat Verbeek is indeed someone that would be willing to give that, you would give up next drafts. So the 2023 draft is the pick that you give up.
Yeah, I mean, that's why to me, I've said I don't think the Ducks should sign Kevin Fiala or anyone to an offer sheet because of the downside there. Because there is a possibility that the Ducks are bad again next year, and missing out on a top pick in a great draft would be a disaster. So I would tend to agree with the question.
I don't think they're going to be that bad next year, but that's just my own personal opinion.
But there is a chance.
No, 100.
Right? Think about I know that you think that they're going to be a lot better next year.
Yeah.
And I tend to agree. But part of the reason they're going to be a lot better is in relative terms because of how bad they've been.
No, I completely agree.
But there is so much work to be done to actually get that much better, and there's still a possibility that it's not going to happen right away.
For sure. No, I completely agree. Casey asked, with the departure of Jeff Ward, do you guys have anyone who you think would be good to slot in that role that's available, or someone in the org to be promoted?
I heard Joel Bouchard is available.
I thought you said earlier that we never have to talk about him again.
Okay, that was my last one.
Marty St. Louis?
No. Well, we need to stop that. He's back.
Well, you need to stop bringing up Joel Bouchard now.
Do we think Francois Beauchemin steps behind the bench?
I mean, he was behind the bench for a game.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we think Ducks video coach, blanking on his name, it says my mind. No, I don't really have any names. I wonder if they go internal, just someone who's been with the organization, or do they bring in someone from the outside? My guess is they go outside.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're going to actually have a new one. Someone actually messaged me on Facebook.
What?
Messaged, because I post all the podcasts to the Crash the Pond Facebook account.
Okay, love that.
I know. So Joseph Holmes asked, question for the next pod. Do we call...
Pete DeBoer got fired?
Yeah. Did you just miss this?
I was wondering why
that
people
was this
were
morning.
Talking about him.
Yeah, Pete DeBoer was fired. Barry Trotz, come on down. Joseph Holmes asked, do we call Bolts versus Cats the American Battle of Alberta, or do we call Oils versus Flames the Canadian Battle of Florida? Just to piss people off.
Definitely the former.
No, just piss people off the latter. Oils Flames is the Canadian Battle of Florida.
That's just incorrect.
Well, you're just incorrect. All right. For those of you watching on YouTube, yes, we're on YouTube, youtube.com/crashthepond. If you want to check us out there, subscribe to all our videos. It helps out significantly. Or if you're listening on your favorite podcast services, we do a live stream each and every time at twitch.tv/crashthepond, where you can support us. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free Twitch Prime gaming sub each and every month, and it does help more than you can imagine. You get special emotes in the chat, special badges next to the name. You can be just like Darko Theory, who resubbed for 5 months in a row, 12 total, and said, man, I can't wait for next season to start already, even with these great playoffs. And we also had Lewis who resubscribed. Do you want to take a gander at how many months do you think Lewis has subscribed to us?
Let's see. So we started in the fall of 2017.
Fall of 2017 was Mixler days, though.
When did we start on Twitch?
The 18-19 season.
Okay, so 2018. So it hasn't been 4 years from that. It's been about 3.5. 3 times 12 is 36 plus 6. I'm going to go 42 months.
44 months. You were close. Thanks, Lou.
Damn. Okay. Well, thank you, Lou. That is impressive.
I feel like
hang the jersey.
What do we need to do for the first person that hits 69 months subscribed?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Not going to answer that one.
All right. Get your questions in, though, people on Twitch for us. And, Lewis, I'm expecting a city at some point. This show needs to end with a shit show. Rooch20 said,
doesn't.
question, now that Joel Bouchard and the Gulls coaching staffs are relieved of their duty, do you think there is a chance Dallas Eakins returns behind the bench with the Gulls instead of the Ducks? Would that be considered a breach of his current contract?
That ain't happening.
Yeah, it's not happening. There's no way that's going to be.
They just said he's going to be back coaching the Ducks.
Yeah, and I don't think, even if he was let go after next season, I don't think he's someone that would come back to the same organization in a lower role.
Mm-hmm.
That's just
well,
not.
Are they talking about next season?
No.
Yeah, they are talking about next season.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, it's not happening.
Nope, not at all. All right. I'm trying to see. There were some other questions earlier that I am trying to find. Rooch20 also said, how much of the kind of when we were talking about some younger players not necessarily thriving, how much this has to do with Todd Marchand's inability to develop the core, the team, the young players?
Yeah, I think it's significant. I think that I think the Ducks have done a poor job of making their younger players better over the years. And so I think that we absolutely have to factor that in, because getting younger players onto your team isn't just a matter of drafting good players. It's also a matter of developing the good players that you draft, because there's a reason you draft them, because they're good, because they have potential. Once those guys are drafted, it's completely on you and, of course, on the players, but it's on you, to me, to get them to maximize their potential.
Yep.
So,
and
yes.
Our good friend Spencer asked, do you think Pat Verbeek will love Mason McTavish?
Well, he's strong and he competes, so I'd go with yes.
91 Pluty Connor asks, will Pat Verbeek be anal about rookie sweater numbers like Murray, or will McTavish wear number 23 next year?
I don't know the answer to that, but I would guess no.
What did Steve Yzerman do? Has Steve Yzerman cared? What number was Lucas Raymond wearing this year?
Wasn't he 23? Yeah, he was 23.
Okay.
Mort Sider was like 53.
Yeah, I just realized we can't do the shit show portion because I don't have that set of my screen figured out.
Oh, darn.
We get muted when that happens. So no shit show, Lewis. Sorry. Yeah, Raymond's 23, Sider's 53. Yeah, it seems like he just lets the players wear the numbers they want to wear.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what you want to do.
Sider was 53 before getting to the NHL. So
what number is Jamie Drysdale going to wear next year?
6, probably.
Yeah, I'm thinking 6. Zegras 13.
I'm thinking 11.
I'm thinking 13. Didn't he wear 13 for the Gulls?
Yeah, no, it's going to be 13.
Yeah, 13. I can finally get a Zegras jersey. Will be nice. You know what? Who
else would change?
McTavish.
Well, yeah, I guess so, because McTavish was what? What was he? Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Wasn't in the 20s. Was it in the 30s? 31, 32, 33?
It wasn't in the 30s.
Wasn't in the 30s. 40s, 50s.
There you go.
50s. Was it 50s?
Yeah.
Mason McTavish?
Oh, no, sorry. It was 30s.
Okay, yeah. I was
Sorry.
Yeah. What? Hold on. This is really kicking
so who
ass.
wore 50? Did anyone
he was
wear
37.
Did
37.
anyone wear 53 this year?
Yes, of course. How could you not know this?
How am I spacing on this? Who wore 50?
Buddy freaking
Oh,
Robinson.
yeah, there you go.
Come on.
There we go.
Get with the times.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Yeah, 37, an ode to Nick Ritchie.
Yeah, that he surely picked.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, yeah, what happens to Sam Steele? Sam Steele's wearing his number.
Are we sure Sam Steele will be a Duck next season?
Does Sam Steele get traded just so Mason McTavish can wear 23?
Sure. I think if that's what it takes to make Mason McTavish happy, who wouldn't?
Wow.
Who wouldn't? I'm just kidding.
Wow. Pat Verbeek just ruthless. Just absolutely ruthless. I'm trying to think who else was what number were Perreault and Tracy?
Perreault was 64.
That will be the real test if Perreault and Tracy aren't wearing those numbers.
And I think Tracy was 56.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the real test is if those guys get called up.
64 is a stupid looking number.
Yeah. So we'll find out in training camp how they feel.
Yeah.
About those guys.
Good shout.
Yeah.
That is the number one subplot to watch in training camp.
I mean,
jersey numbers.
I mean, it's also just will the Ducks finally commit to wearing orange next year? I feel like that kind of
has it.
I feel like that rumor came out of nowhere though,
and has since not been
confirmed
or denied.
Yeah, I think realistically what the rumor was is I think the reverse retro is going to be orange.
I think that's what it was about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just going to be heavily orange.
An orange Mighty Ducks jersey.
Orange gloves. Orange helmet?
Orange helmet would be intriguing.
I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Has there been hold on? Has there been an NHL team with orange helmets?
Did anyone wear an orange helmet in the reverse retros? Someone had to have.
It would have had to have been Philly.
Or the Oilers.
The Oilers were a white helmet.
It was?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm 1,000,000% sure.
Oilers reverse retro. Yeah, it was white. You're right.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, 1,000,000% wasn't high enough for you?
No, it wasn't. What was the Flyers reverse retro? I don't even remember that.
Oh, it was well, don't tell me.
Oh, yeah, it was orange.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have orange helmets though.
Yeah, they did not. I can't even find a picture of them wearing it.
Orange helmets have never been done.
It really was a damn shame that they didn't just bring back those jerseys for this season with more fans in the arena.
For the Mighty Ducks?
Just over the entire league. The fact that you have this reverse retro, this special program that you put into place, and it's the season where you don't have fans in the building for majority of the season.
Well, yeah, because once the fans are back and that revenue is covered again, they don't care anymore.
Well, yeah, but
here's what I don't understand about the NHL. People love jerseys.
Yeah.
People look at the NBA and how they set up their jerseys now. They change jerseys seemingly every year for every team. It prints money. Do this.
Yeah. Well,
do this.
You know what's a damn shame?
Why am I punching my hand as I'm
speaking? What's a damn shame? Watching Panthers games and seeing people in the crowd with that reverse retro and just how beautiful that looks compared to their actual jersey now.
Compared to what they wear, it is so bland. It is not a good jersey.
The Panther leaping off the chest is such a good logo.
Yeah.
It's such a good logo.
My favorite thing, and I think they still have kind of a version of it on their current jerseys, is when they had the palm tree crossed with the hockey stick.
The issue with their current jersey is, what was it? The new owner, whenever that was
a military guy.
Military guy, and so it had to become a military jersey.
It's a very disciplined jersey.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of what you like.
Let me ask you this. Speaking of the Panthers jersey, how do you feel about jersey numbers being on the shoulders, jersey numbers on the shoulders versus on the arm?
I feel like it just looks weird. I don't like it. It looks like football.
Because what the Panthers did was they have patches on the arm where the numbers typically are, and kind of like army patches.
Well, the thing is the Panthers jerseys aren't bad. They're just boring.
Also, one thing I really dislike about it is the fact that the stripe doesn't go all the way around.
Why are we talking about this?
I don't know, because we talk about jerseys, and I love jerseys, and I could talk about.
Yeah.
I could do a whole podcast on jerseys. To be honest, we probably have done that. Let's end with this. Rooch20 said, "Question: How happy is Jake now, knowing how bad Arsenal choked this afternoon?" Oh man, I was so happy. One of my coworkers is an Arsenal fan and walked up to me and showed the score, showed me that it was 2-0, and oh boy, Tottenham now have a 2-point lead, and all they have to do against Norwich is get a draw. And Champions League is ours.
Wow.
Did you watch
What if they lose?
If they lose and Arsenal does not win, then they're still in the Champions League.
I watched the FA Cup final.
I did not, but I did watch the North London Derby. The North London Derby was fantastic. 3-0. Oh, boy.
All that matters, Jake, all that matters in the world of sports outside of the NHL is that the Golden State Warriors are headed back to the Western Conference.
Why are you holding a baseball?
I don't know. You know Tony Ferguson is? He's an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And he started doing this weird thing a few years ago where he shows up to press conferences wearing baseball gloves that are fingerless, and just he always has a baseball in his hand. And people ask him why does he have it, and I forget what his answer was, but it's something like so I can throw it at people.
I just randomly noticed that you were
like,
holding
because
it.
I'm an athlete. Yeah, I have a baseball. It's signed by me. Must be worth a lot, right?
Why did you sign your own baseball?
I haven't actually signed it.
Okay.
People can see the no signature. I'm not an egomaniac to that
Okay.
degree.
Okay.
But yes, the Warriors are headed back to the Western Conference Final, and they will play the Dallas Mavericks, who I believe are a better matchup for them than
All right.
the Phoenix Suns.
Let's end with this one, I guess. Lewis asks, question for Felix. When the Las Vegas Raiders win the Super Bowl, will you write him an essay about how wrong you were?
Okay, so when they win that's not this year. It's probably not next year. It's probably not the year after. So, like, I'm down to write it in the year, like, 2070, I guess, when it's, like, bionic football at that point. But, yeah, I'm not really sure that's going to ever happen. Not in this era of the Raiders, that is for sure.
Let's do this. So we haven't done our food channel in a while, and this isn't necessarily a take, but, I'm just going to throw it out there.
Do I get Inno?
Connor said, do I make ground turkey tacos this evening and have some Corona? And Bob said, but tomorrow is Taco Tuesday, and Connor's like, every day is Taco Tuesday. There you go, folks.
It isn't, though. Only Taco Tuesday is Taco Tuesday.
For it to be Taco
Tuesday, it has to be Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday is a state of mind, Felix. It's not an actual day.
You could have just said Margarita Monday.
It's like 5 o'clock somewhere. It's a state of mind.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand that, but sure.
You wouldn't know. And Lewis,
something food related happened.
Lewis brings up that it's Tuesday in Europe right now. Oh, wait, was it food related? I can't remember. There was a lot that happened. I want to point this
out. I've been on a LaCroix kick lately. I've come around. Enjoy.
Oh, wasn't there like ice cream talk or something? I don't know. Was that what you were thinking of?
Scoop talk. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Look, I think ground turkey is a fine call for tacos. Like, here's what I'll say is that if you're gonna go for the taco approach on a weeknight that is not Monday, I think ground turkey is better because it's a little healthier. When it's Taco Tuesday, then go whole ham and go with whatever crazy meat you want to use.
Appa has decided to once again say that he needs to let it be known that soup is a beverage.
Is it not? You drink it. By definition.
Coffee Dave asks, who is more of an Orange County team, the Clippers or the Chargers?
Oh, Chargers. Clippers are no one's team.
I mean, I have a really good friend of mine that's a big Clippers fan.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm really sorry. Tillamook is the best store-bought ice cream brand.
That's correct.
Oh, no, this is a question. This is a debate topic.
I mean, there's no debate. It's correct.
Yeah, I mean, I don't buy any other brand, so I couldn't tell you.
I do. But if we're just
Jerry's?
Ben and Jerry's, though, you're buying because of all of the other stuff in it. No, not the brand, but it's the mix-ins. It's all that stuff.
My problem with Ben and Jerry's is the ice cream doesn't feel that like creamy. It's not.
Oh, it's still delicious.
It doesn't feel that high quality.
It's still delicious, but I don't know if I was able to get Ben and Jerry's that was just that ice cream.
To me, I enjoy Ben and Jerry's when I go to a Ben and Jerry's. Like it has to be from the store.
Where is there a Ben and Jerry's store?
In malls.
I've seen two ever.
Well, yeah, but you haven't been places. So.
I saw one in Vermont, the actual factory.
Okay.
Claiming I haven't been places as I went to the actual factory, and the other one was in Washington D.C.
Here, let me just do a quick Google search and answer your question. Ben and Jerry's. Now we go to Google Maps. Oh, there's one in the district, isn't there?
There is?
We've been with CJ. Oh, no, I went with Chip and CJ once. Yeah, there's one in Tustin.
Thanks for the invite.
You must have been busy doing something.
Probably.
Actually, wait, no. Is this? Hold on.
How do you feel about Ono
There's
Barbecue?
a Ben and Jerry's in Long Beach.
Where?
L. L for you. Actually, wait, no. Is this
Where?
Long Beach?
Where?
This is yes. It's on Carson Boulevard,
Where?
the Long Beach Town Center.
Oh,
just took
that's
a
like
massive
That's
L.
like Lakewood. Where the hell is that though?
Wow.
Where?
I feel
Where?
like, what was your statement? I've only ever seen two Ben and Jerry's, as there's one literally where you live.
Where?
In the city
Where
that
the
you
hell
live in.
is this? I did. What the?
Oh my
Oh,
god!
it's like it's because I don't go to this place ever.
I think the one in Orange County closed though, because I'm not seeing it.
Well, you know what? I'm not gonna be in Long Beach much longer.
Damn, you just took a big ol' L.
Do I go there before I leave? Maybe.
I feel like out of all the things that are bucket list for you to do before you leave, that has to be very close to the bottom of the list.
That is at the bottom.
Irvine Spectrum, maybe that's what I was thinking.
Hawaiian barbecue thoughts.
Here's what I'll say about Hawaiian barbecue.
Don't you do this?
No. You're gonna like this. I think you might agree with this. I think that it always sounds amazing, and you have it, and
Don't
it's
you do
mostly
this.
amazing. But I just feel like awful after every single time.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But it's good. Here's my question to you though: what is on your Hawaiian barbecue plate?
I will go for a katsu plate and do 2 scoops of macaroni salad and only 1 scoop of rice. And I will typically, because I've been doing L&L Hawaiian barbecue.
Yeah, L&L is
my go-to, and I'll do
L&L is better than Aloha.
I'll do a chicken katsu masubi.
Katsu masubi? No,
It's delicious.
Wait. I'm not a big masubi guy.
It's rice, seaweed, and chicken katsu.
Wait, are you talking about like the little rolls?
Yeah.
Okay.
It typically comes. It typically is spam. That's what like spam masubi is.
I think the key for the Hawaiian barbecues is you need sauce.
Well,
the sauce has to be on point. I
My
used to eat it with no sauce.
oh, I always do sriracha on it.
Yeah.
I've
actually never tried.
My
sriracha.
biggest test for a Hawaiian barbecue place
Oh.
is the macaroni salad has to be good. If the macaroni salad's not good, then I'm out.
Thank you to Connor for reminding me here. Thank you for reminding me of this. Oh my God. I almost did an entire podcast without exposing you.
I
and
thought-
this
I thought-
awful take.
I thought you deleted it.
Okay, so this is going to be for the people who made it this far. This is a treat to the people who made it this far. So last night in our Discord, Jake made the claim that Newport Beach, California, not Newport Beach, I think there's one in Maine, I don't know. Newport Beach, California, located in Orange County, it is North County. Any cursory look at a map, just your regular old map, will show you that Newport Beach, if anything, is closer to south than it is north of Orange County. North Orange County, to me, is Brea, is Fullerton.
So
City.
let me ask you this.
So no, but let me say this. If Brea and Fullerton are north Orange County, then there isn't any possible way for Newport Beach to be north as well because it's further south. So
here's
what an insane take.
Here's kind of where I view it and how I view it.
You don't get to decide. This isn't a matter of opinion.
No, but there's no actual thing. Because do you consider Newport Beach and Irvine South Orange County? Irvine, I think you can make the argument.
You're creating this like straw man that is irrelevant.
What?
It is not North County. It is not North County.
Well, no, but I think that it's either
That
something.
is the claim.
But no, the claim is that I think it's either North Orange County or South Orange County. It's one or the other.
It's not one or the other. It is not north. It just isn't. You can't be north or south. There's only those two things are completely different.
So then what is it? If it's not north and it's not south, then it's just nothing?
Well, it doesn't have to be one of those two things. Have you considered that?
Well, that's what I'm getting at here is that to me, I think that something is either North Orange County or South Orange County. If you want to say it's west, then sure, fine. But the only thing I've ever heard is North County and South County.
Sure, that's
and
fair.
So from that perspective, if you're only looking at it in those two lenses, Newport Beach is not part of South County, which means by finishing it out, it's North County.
No, you're assuming that if something is not in South County, then it must be in North County.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
It could just.
I'm just saying.
North County
I'm just saying from the. I'm just saying from the definition purely of it's either north or south.
You're pulling this definition out of thin air.
No, this is a genuinely I think like Charbonneau and I think Connor agreed that they typically you'll only hear North or South County.
That's fair, but that's just like a colloquialism thing. That's not that. There's no reason to that. So I look at it this way. Undoubtedly, San Juan Capistrano, Dana Point, San Clemente, Mission Viejo, that is absolutely South County. Like, they can't be anything else. They can't be one or the other, north or south. That is for damn sure. To me, Anaheim, Fullerton, Buena Park, Yorba Linda are north. Like, very clearly north. Newport Beach is 20-plus miles south of those cities. How could it be north? Newport Beach, if anything, is central Orange County. It is in the middle. It is smack dab in the middle. And it is closer to South County than it is to North County.
Fair.
That is the end of anything that has to be said.
What do you consider Huntington Beach?
That's an interesting question. Haven't really thought about it. Parts of Huntington Beach are closer to being North County because it's almost. I mean, does Huntington Beach border LA County?
No,
I think it might.
Seal Beach does.
Is Seal Beach LA County or Orange County?
Orange County.
Is it really?
Yes.
Am I just exposing myself here?
You 100% are.
Holy shit. I always thought Seal Beach was in...
Los Alamitos, also part of Orange County.
Okay, well, just by the transitive property, it borders a city that borders LA County. So it's close to LA County.
Fair. Yeah, it borders the city that I live in.
I just can't believe you would call Newport North County. Like, that is just the most galaxy brain
just for me, South County is Lake Forest, Mission Viejo, Laguna Woods, Laguna Hills, Aliso, and Laguna Niguel.
This is a good point by Lou, is that HB is just HB. It's just on its own island.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's kind of how I view Newport. Like, the beach cities are kind of their own
That's
thing.
fair. I've just always, in my head, considered it's either North County or South County.
I mean, this is why looking at things from a black and white perspective is maybe not the most helpful.
Is Costa Mesa North County?
No. What?
I just saw like a map and someone said North County.
All right, we need to end this because my brain is about to explode. Costa Mesa is right next to Newport, which we just established is not.
I'm
north.
just saying.
What are you saying?
I don't even know what I'm.
Draw the map.
I don't even know what I'm saying at this point in time. I'm now looking at a map from United's End Homelessness that has Central as being Newport, Costa Mesa, Fountain Valley, Huntington Beach.
Yes, it makes sense to split it up that
sure.
way.
Okay,
not just north.
If we're calling it
the Civil War, why are you trying to start a civil war?
It is the Civil War, though, Felix. It is. We have to draw the lines of North and South.
Which one is the Confederates, though?
Which one are you going to end up on? Are you going to end up on the same side as me or not? That's what we have to find out.
I am punching air. I have punched air.
You're the one that decided to bring this up.
Well, no, but I'm trying to let the world see, the millions of people worldwide that are listening right now, just how wrong you can be, and let that inform their future assessments of what you say on this podcast.
I've always in my head not considered. Do we agree that Newport is not South County though?
You can't this map, this entry point you're using is not going to take you to me saying Newport is North County.
No, I'm not trying to get there. I'm just saying, do we at least agree on that?
I mean, sure. It is literally in the middle. It is central.
Yeah. Okay.
It is central.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it South
so
County.
So we at least have some middle ground there.
Yes. I mean, it makes sense because it's literally in the middle of the county.
Yeah. And it's further north than San Juan Capistrano and Dana Point and San Clemente.
Well, so if you have made it this far and you have witnessed the great geographic debate of 2022.
Oh,
please comment.
Wait. By the way, Connor chiming in with on my side of this for a little. Central County does not exist. Nobody has ever said that. Been an OC resident my whole life, and it's always been either North or South County.
Sure, but my point is, though, that there are places to me that don't get referred as anything, that are unclassified. Like Newport.
But then that's not – but you're then saying that it's not North or South, so it's not any – like it has to be one or the other.
It's not.
Has to be one or the other.
My only argument this entire time has been that it is not North County.
Thank you, Connor.
Connor hasn't done anything for your argument.
Thank you.
Newport is not North County.
Is it? It's not South County. We both just agreed on that.
But the premise that you're using.
How have we debated this more than anything else on this show today?
The premise that you're using is that this is just how people say it, right? The fact that nobody has ever said that is evidence that we can only.
I do think there are parts of Newport Beach that are South County and parts of it that are North, in the way that the vibe is.
Sure. The whole point, though, is that I really do think that in Orange County, I've lived here now for a decade.
You want to know how many years I've actually lived in Orange County?
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about.
Do you want to know how many years I've actually lived in Orange County?
1.
Yes.
I've been here a decade.
To be fair, I've lived on the border of Orange County my whole life.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the point though is just that, and you work in
undisclosed.
Will I get this right? Anaheim?
No,
somewhere. Not North, not South. I do think that there are areas of Orange County that just don't get the distinction. They're not referred to as North or South. And I think that Irvine, Santa Ana, Newport, Huntington fall into that category. Costa Mesa, Santa Ana. You could even argue Santa Ana is more north. Irvine is Irvine. Newport is Newport. The beach cities are their own category. And then you have Anaheim. You have Yorba Linda, Fullerton,
so
Buena Park.
What you're saying
is North County.
What you're saying is there's like 20 different categories to you.
No, in my head, I actually break it up by central, north, south. But the way that I have heard people say it, because apparently that's an admissible piece of evidence here, is there are just places that don't get identified with either. Anyway, I can't believe how long this has gone on.
Yep. Lou thought he threw a wrench into our plan, but I just checkmated him.
Anyway, so if you have made it through this debate, please hit us up on Twitter @CrashThePond. Maybe we'll just put out a tweet, a poll, but let us know what you think. Are you on Team Felix or Team Jake? One of those is Team Truth, and it's not Team Jake. Just put it that way. Is that too mean?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I think we've now spent 30 minutes on this. I think time to wrap it up.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for listening. If you made it this far, we really do appreciate you. There are a few different ways that you can support us. First and foremost, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/crashthepond. For $1 a month, $1 pledge, you get access to our patrons only Discord server, which is my favorite place, bar none, full stop, to talk hockey online. It's just the best. We have a thriving community, so welcoming, no negativity. People are just nice to each other, just trying to have a good time. And it's not limited to just hockey talk. There's a general chat, the food channel.
This entire conversation that we just had.
It came from our Discord, yeah. For $5 a month, you also get access to 2 bonus episodes on top of the server. And on that one, we actually have a round 2 predictions episode that just went up. And so you should go check that out if you're trying to get warmed up for round 2 and just see what our thoughts are. We also have a round 1. You can go back and listen to how correct I was as I enter my rebuilding phase. And you can also pledge $15 a month. That's all at patreon.com/crashthepond. You can also check us out on Apple Podcasts. Search Crash the Pond. Leave us a rating and a review, and we will get into it. We will read your review on the air, and we just really appreciate hearing from you guys. It's really welcome, and it's really just cool to hear the feedback. You can also find us on Spotify. Leave us a rating there. Wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. Like Jake said earlier, youtube.com/crashthepond. Make sure to subscribe there and turn on those notifications. Check out our website, crashthepond.com, crashthepond.com/shop. Get t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, stickers with our awesome logo. And find us on Twitter at crashthepond, on Facebook as well. Jake is on Twitter at reindeergames91, and I'm on Twitter at Felix_Sicard. That will do it for us tonight as Jake gets out of his seat to go grab his cat Salem, brings her onto the screen. We love to see that. She's trying to get out of his arms, though. This is... Oh, we're getting some purring action. Aw, she's so cute. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you next Monday.
Bye.